What's going on, everybody? So today we're going to be taking a look at some different kick and 808 patterns that go well together. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so before we do this, I'm just going to add in a little percussion loop and maybe a snare just to catch the beat or whatever, and then we'll start playing with the kick and 808s. If you're looking for some good drum loops, percussion loops, anything like that, Decap has the best ones. I would go with the newest volume 9, Drums That Knock. Okay, so your 808 patterns are really going to depend on what BPM that your beat is in. So this is a little bit of a faster BPM here. And as the BPM goes down, it's obviously going to get slower, so the notes are going to get farther and farther apart. So that is definitely something that you want to keep in mind when you're doing 808 patterns. And anything under like 100 BPM, so if you're doing like a song that's 92 or like 80 BPM or something like that, it's going to be like halftime. So obviously you're going to want to know what kind of scale that your beat is in, but since we're just doing this right now, we're just going to use whatever we want. So I'll show you some of the more common 808 patterns that you're going to see. So this first 808 pattern is just going to be like a flat 808 and then lots of space, and then the next one's going to come in like somewhere around here or something. Alright, so this is less 808s going on, but when the 808 does come in, it makes it really hard because of that fact. Now you could even go crazier with it and do something like this. And that's going to have a really dope vibe. So if you have something crazy going on with your drums, like let's say your hi-hats are really crazy, you have some like snare rolls and things like that, you might want to keep your 808 a little bit simpler. So you could do something like this. So this is a really common pattern that you're going to hear a lot. It's just the first three that come in right here. And you could keep on going with this. So what's going on here is they're almost all evenly spaced out. This one's just 2 more longer than all the other ones, just to give it a little bit of a space for it to come back in and hit right on the next 2. But this is a really common 808 pattern as well. Change up these octaves or whatever depending on what scale you're using. Alright, but this obviously has a lot going on, so maybe you just get rid of these last 2 notes, or maybe you'd leave one of them. And then you can do variation off each of these different patterns. So let's say you want to take this one out. I'll take these 2 out. You can also do something more crazy, more aggressive. Double it up right here in the beginning. And then you could switch to like triplets and do some crazy triplet rolls if you want to do something like that. And you can play with the velocities when you're doing these faster notes so that it doesn't just get out of control. you could do a slope with these velocities, but for time, I'm just gonna turn it up a little bit. So the key is really just finding a simple pattern that sounds good and then adding a little bit of variation, whether you want to do some rolls or not. You could just keep it simple too, because simple bass lines are good as long as it sounds good. So keep it simple, add a little bit of variation to finish it off, and these are some of the main 808 patterns that you can use. Alright, so now we're going to cover some quick kicks that you can do with these sorts of 808s. So you could do something really aggressive with the kick so that it comes in really hard, but it only comes in on the first. So you could do something like this, and it would only come in every so often, but it would come in really hard because you haven't heard it in a while. So that would sound something like this. You could even do like 2 of them here. Other ways you can use the kick is you could just follow the 808 directly. You could either follow every single note, or if you have some like spots where you have some rolls or stuff, you don't have to follow them at all. So with this one, I'm following the main 808s. I'm not following any of the rolls or the end stuff. Or you could take some of the notes out if you don't want them to be there. Like let's say I just want these 3. And some other cool ideas you can do with the kick is you can play it before or after the kick. Sometimes it sounds really good when you do it like 1 after or 2 after. So it would be on the next part of the section here. Let's play the kick first instead. Alright, so when you play it first and not after, so the 808 is going to be hitting on this note, so we're playing it 2 before that. It kind of goes bum-bum, so it kind of gives it some more rhythm. So those are things you can play with as well. And if you're going to do some really fast kicks, like let's say you have a lot going on, definitely don't set the volumes all the way up when you're doing the fast notes. Like you can do something like this. You could start high and go down, or you could just make them completely random like that or something like that. But if you have notes that are going to be really close together with your kick, definitely make sure the velocities are not up all the way, because they don't need to smack that loud when they're playing super fast. So if you want to get fancy with it, you could do something like this. Maybe we put this one here too, because that sounds pretty good. So I might actually use something like that if I was going to use this 808 pattern, but I would find out what scale I'm going to be using, and then I would move some of these 808 notes around, because this is kind of 2 plain Jane when it's all on C. So that's another thing, but I wanted to make this specifically about patterns. So if you guys want to see a tutorial on how to use different notes and figure out what notes are best to use inside of the scale that you're using in your beat, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a tutorial just on that for you guys as well. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this tutorial on some different 808 patterns, adding little variation in rolls, and then how you can play with your kicks to give it some different effects when you put it in different parts along with the 808. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Smash that like button for me, please and thank you. And subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because we're uploading daily tutorials and you're not going to want to miss out on them. But besides that, I'll be catching you guys again in the next one. Peace out.